The power of daytime sleep. What does daytime sleep do to your body? In general, daytime sleep, such a luxury lunch. You lay down after this, slept, it would seem, what a delight. But in this video, I will tell you that daytime sleep has its advantages, but also its obvious disadvantages. If you watch this video to the end, I will tell you why you can't sleep for a long time during the day. Let's start with physiology. In fact, we have a circadian rhythm in our body when we want to be awake and when we want to sleep. In principle, a person is a diurnal creature. That is, he is active during the day, if you can put it that way. He sleeps at night. But in the middle of the day, there really is a slump in activity which is physiological for a person. Scientific actors have been arguing for a long time. Why is that? Well, most likely the first man appeared in Africa. Well, as far as, so to speak, modern science talks about this now, and it's impossible to live in Africa during the day at plus 40 and even 50 in the sun. The well-known situation with siesta when people slept when it was too hot. Therefore, firstly, they slept at night, and secondly, they rested during the day. And maybe it's genetically embedded that we have a dip in activity at night and a dip in the middle of the day. And actually, that's when the need for a daytime nap primarily arises. By the way, if you like to take a nap after lunch, give this video a like. There are physiological aspects here. Maybe we should start with them. We'll then discuss the social aspects. Physiological. Well, if we take children, they naturally sleep during the day because their need for sleep is higher. The body grows, some organs and systems develop, memory is formed. In general, a child needs to sleep a lot in order to grow and develop normally. Furthermore, athletes quite often sleep during the day. The thing is, during sleep, our energy reserves are replenished, muscle memory is formed in sleep, that is, a person better remembers some training exercises, and when he has slept, he reproduces them better. Pregnant women, too, understandably, the growth of the fetus presents increased demands on the body, and pregnant women often lie down to rest and sleep during the day. Of course, there are also some external factors that make a person sleep more. For example, he is just sick. It is known that our immune system activates during sleep, both at night and during the day, and therefore, in order to recover faster and easier, a person sleeps during the day as well. There is a good saying Hippocrates once said, that if sleep is refreshing, then the disease is not fatal. Therefore, even if a person feels better after sleeping during the day, it means he is already recovering. Several social aspects also increase a person's need for daytime sleep. Well, for example, the same siesta that I've already talked about. In hot countries, it's just very hard for a person to work during the day. Although, of course, we now have air conditioners and so on, but in many hot countries, this tradition is still preserved. When people get up early, but at 5 in the morning, to work from the morning, but then they nap during the day to get the total duration of sleep. Night shifts, of course, are also a serious problem. 20% of the residents of large cities work in shifts. And if a person has worked at night, it's important for him to either sleep in the morning or even take a nap somewhere around lunchtime, just to compensate for the sleep deficit that has accumulated over the previous night. And another very important aspect is drivers. In developed countries, there is very serious legislation on this matter. When I sometimes travel long distances in Europe, the driver drove for 2 hours, then stopped for 15 minutes. Drove for 4 hours, then stopped for half an hour. And there are special sensors in the buses that monitor to make sure the driver has stopped and rested. And by the way, here's a little life hack for those people who, let's say, travel by train. First, if you're just a little bit away from home and you're like this long train ride, I want to bring up some set statistics. 50% of all road transport incidents related to falling asleep at the wheel occur in the last 20% of the journey. A person thinks, well, here it is, home at last, yes, I can relax now. Oops, relaxed and sleep is literally 30 seconds and fell asleep. If you're just a little bit away from home and want to sleep, take a 10 to 15 minute nap. Well, nothing scary, you'll arrive maybe a little bit later, but healthy and alive. This is a recommendation for people who are in a hurry to get home. Well, and also an interesting fact, as usually happens. A man wanted to sleep, he stops, sleeps, let's say 15-20 minutes, then drinks a cup of sweet strong tea or coffee, gets behind the wheel and goes. But usually such a sequence is incorrect. The thing is, when a person has slept and just woke up, residual sleepiness remains. And a person, if they consume something warm and sweet, sugar quickly absorbs into the blood, which leads to a certain increase in sleepiness. I'll even phrase it differently. Drinking something sweet causes the liver to release glycogen, resulting in an immediate feeling of relaxation. And caffeine only kicks in after 20 to 25 minutes, and only then does alertness come. That's why it's right to do this. Stop, have a strong tea or coffee, then go to sleep. And then, accordingly, in 15 to 25 minutes, you'll fall asleep, and the caffeine will start to work. You'll sit behind the wheel much more awake and drive, and there won't be a chance for you to fall asleep right after this daytime sleep.
If I sleep during the day, that's it. It's just better not to lie down, better to force myself. What does it depend on? Someone really likes it, but I don't like it at all.
How long have you been sleeping like this? How much do you need to sleep to feel not great?
It's always bad, but of course it's worse when you sleep more.
The amount of sleep needed to feel refreshed varies from person to person. Some feel refreshed after 5 to 15 minutes, while others need 20 to 40 minutes. For some, no amount of sleep seems to help. That's why it's better for you to endure. I usually suggest to a person, if he starts to experience such daytime sleepiness, to give himself some physical or psycho-emotional load. Well, go to the manager and demand a raise. Or call a subordinate and scold them, or walk around the floors. In 15-20 minutes, the sleepiness will pass, and you can work normally in the evening. Well, some people sleep perfectly fine, but there are pros and cons here. I wanted to mention right now what's good about daytime sleep and what's bad. Even a 5-minute nap, such a dream with closed eyes, can already refresh you. 15 to 20 minutes is considered optimal. This is the situation that on one hand doesn't take much time. It's even a lunch break, but you already feel refreshed and can work until evening. And, as I said, a great need for sleep somewhere from 20 to 50 minutes. These are people who are simply experiencing a sleep deficit, accumulated because they worked at night. These are pregnant women, these are sick people, these are athletes who also sleep long enough. But oversleeping is also bad. Firstly, why is it not recommended to sleep more than 45 to 50 minutes? Because a person reaches the deep stage of sleep, also known as delta sleep. If the alarm clock rings at this moment, you will wake up, not understanding where such confusion of consciousness, bad mood, and brokenness come from. Because it's hard for the body to come out of the deep sleep stage due to the alarm clock. This is the first thing. Secondly, it's what we call retiree sleep. When a person has eaten, slept, and dozed off, read a book, fell asleep, watched television, dozed off, slept. A person might not notice this, but over the day, he can doze off and sleep for 2 to 3 hours like this. And this, of course, disrupts the evening sleep, the night sleep. Well, because the person has actually slept during the day, the person has insomnia at night, he can't sleep. And then again the next day, he experiences sleepiness, that is, the day with the night changes completely. In such social institutions in America, I once read a very interesting article. The main task, where elderly people live, the main task of the staff is to keep them busy during the day and not let them sleep. Well, yes, after lunch you can rest, but in general, he should have some active types of activities so that the person does not sleep. He should be tired enough. Accordingly, he slept well enough in the evening and slept through the night. And so firstly, it's a physiological need for a person to sleep during the day and some kind of lull in activity in the post-lunch time. Secondly, there are some social aspects that require a person to sleep during the day. Physiological aspects that also increase the need for daytime sleep. But it's important not to oversleep. Like any medicine, an unmeasured dose can turn into poison. So here too, everything is good in moderation. And the main recommendation is that if you slept well, had a refreshing sleep, worked well during the evening, or had a good day, and then fell asleep, and it was a normal night's sleep for you, sleep beautifully during the day. If you've slept during the day, and you feel some kind of fatigue, exhaustion afterwards, it doesn't energize you in the second half of the day, and moreover disrupts your evening sleep and night sleep, then it's better to endure, to experience additional sleepiness in the evening and fall asleep easier and sleep accordingly at night. Do you sleep during the day? Please write in the comments when as refreshing as sleep is. By the way, if you have any questions about this, I read the comments and respond as much as possible. I will try to give you some recommendations on how to improve your daytime sleep. Now, I also wanted to talk about a problem when daytime sleep is definitely harmful. This is insomnia. Imagine the situation. A person lies down, does not fall asleep, suffers in the middle of the night, early awakening. Naturally, he thinks that he needs to try to get some sleep somehow. He goes to bed earlier, gets up later at night, but still doesn't sleep and thinks, let me sleep during the day. And maybe he even sleeps during the day. But what will this lead to? This will lead to him having a bit of a nap during the day, and by evening he won't feel the need to sleep, and the fear of not being able to sleep will kick in again. The bed insomnia, and the person won't be able to sleep again. In this sense, it's extremely important for people with insomnia to avoid daytime sleep, even if they want to sleep, and they usually don't feel sleepy, but tired and worn out. Such a person says, I lie down, I seem to be trying to sleep, but I can't. But in reality, it's still a kind of dream, and it still disrupts the night's sleep. If insomnia occurs, it's extremely important to eliminate lying in bed, napping or daytime sleep, in order to sleep better in the evening.